Right, as you can see on the drawing, this is just a quick update because some people didn't quite get it right. Now, gases are burnt there, they run along there, up there, across there and down there, but then they turn right and go across there. There is no gap there, there's no mixing, that is a solid plate. The idea is that that one sat straight on top of the 4-inch that was there. Right, I've put measurements on here for you in both. Millimetres, 500, 19 3/4, near enough. And then you've got 50 mil sticking out the bottom, which is 2 inches, near enough. If you wanted to be really technical, 50.2, 0.4, that's near enough. Then over this side, the piece of chimney that you can't see is that bit sticking out there, which is where the chimney actually goes on there. That is 150 mil, 6 inches long, and there's a plate on the end which is removable. And the reason that plate there removes, is bolted on, is because you get a build-up of ash in there eventually. It took 9 months before I cleaned that piece out, so that'll give you some sort of idea. That there is the basket, and the air comes in there and also down that slot, which is 1-inch slot. Then it catches fire, that goes along there. Simple as that. Hope that's cleared up some of the problems for you. Right. So it is 4 times that diameter, or that square area as you like to call it. 4 times that, so it's 4 times along there. Near enough. But I added a bit more on, so it should be, there we are, 400 from there to there. That's what it is, 400 from there to there. I've made it 500 so that I can drop these bits on there. That's what it should be. Near enough. It's not fussy. You need that length there. That is the critical measurement along there. And if you have got less than that, it doesn't work very well. Then I was asked about the door on the front of the stove, and people are getting burned back up the tube. Right, what I did, I'll swing round to the stove, and you can see my stove. There is no door at the moment, and I will show you what I've done to the door. I'd advise you to, I'll just go a bit closer. See, it's worth buying and reading this book from cover to cover, because he makes a lot of interesting points in there, and that is where I got the calculations from in there. He actually gives you a formula in the book how to do this, and that is where I got that calculation from. So read the book. It's not expensive, it's worth getting to have a good read. Right, round to the fire, and right, what I've done on my fire is on the side here, that is an extra piece on the side, and that is for the boiler. Right, so I've made a storage heater basically. This here is full of cold water, and to keep the garage overnight nice and warm, so that's an accumulator, so that gets hot, and that when the fire's out, that is up to temperature. It doesn't boil because it never gets that hot, but even with the temperatures I've got, well, let's come up here. Right, it is up to 24. Right, there we are, 24 centigrade, that is. I think it's centigrade. Was it centigrade? Oh, let's have another look. No, it's not. That was 24 Fahrenheit. 27.5 is in centigrade. That's what it's got up to now. That's only been going 2 hours. The whole point is that that is my night storage heating. Right, cure the burn back. I will get the door. Let me get the door. This is the door for that fire. Right, as you can see, the door never shuts. What is on the bottom of there is a 5mm nut, just to give me the right gap, and that goes in there like that. That is how I run the fire. And that doesn't allow for burn back up the feed tube. Right, that should have cured most of your questions. That little bar there holds the boiler on, but also that is transferring heat along that bar and into there. Now the other thing that I was somebody mentioned to me, and they were on about feeding air into the fire. Now they asked me why I didn't put cold air from outside into the fire, because that's something you don't do. If you look at a modern boiler, you will find that all modern boilers, they preheat the air. So if you're bringing air in from outside, it will be cold, so it reduces the temperature of the fire. So by using hot air inside, that will increase the temperature of the boiler. So really what we should do is come off of there with a heater and bring your air in from there up and then down, so it's preheated. That will make a higher temperature in there. That's what you're after, is to get a really high burn temperature for little money. So the other thing was, that is the flow coming out into the top of the cylinder, and that's the return down there, going back. And because it's gravity fed, that works quite nicely. It's feeding itself up the cold water, forcing it back in the top of the tank and slowly stirring it up. Works quite nice, really, for what it is. It's just basically a big battery for overnight. That's all it is, and that's really free heat off the side of there. So I think to reduce the performance of the boiler if it's getting too hot. So those three settings there, you just lift the basket up, and those are the settings that I use to reduce the amount of fuel it burns. So when it's on this particular one here, the middle one, that seems to be just about right for me. Obviously everybody's different and they will use different settings, but that's how I set it. I move that up and down, and I double the gap underneath. So I got a 20mm gap in there, so it becomes 40mm when it's lifted up. The other thing is, I don't expect you'll have the same chimney as me, and I've got round about 5 meters of chimney, and you've got to remember is you don't use 90-degree bends. It has to be 45. That's the chimney at the back there, coming up there. You can see it going out, and then it goes up to my outside piece, and there's your outside chimney. So that there, up there, out there, that is what I've done to get the best performance out of my chimney. The hopper at the top, I was asked a question on that. Now, I did make a small one. This is the small feed tube, and so you can see it's a butterfly inside. That's the valve, opens and closes. But what happened was, that size, which is about 2 inches, yeah, that's, as you can see, that's a 2-inch square inside. That used to block up, so I found that I had to go to nearly 4 inches. So if you look there, that is the feed tube there. That's the butterfly valve inside, and that just sits on top. That's just it lifts off if I want to take it off to take the basket out. So that's really about it. That's all I can, and I just hope that that's going to help you sort out any problems if you got any. Back to the drawing. So you need to, if you look at my sketch, hopefully you can work out now the ones that some people have told me they've built some. I've had some people up here build them in Yorkshire and not a problem. So this is the important bit here, and that little bit there with the little slots in, 6mm slots in that piece, and that's how it works. It's up there, along there, down there, but out to the right. That is solid there. There is no holes, no mixture. I'll make a point of telling you that. This is Dave signing off. We'll catch you on the flip side. And don't forget the bits at the bottom, thumbs up or thumbs down. Subscribe if you want to. And I hope that that's cleared up all the questions. Bye-bye.